Okay, so looks like I've been going for 45 seconds. I don't know. I didn't realize it was live yet, and I was just sitting here like messing around with stuff on my desk, but I didn't even think that I already hit the live button. Oh well. So there's 45 seconds of dead air. Just me sitting on a couch. Who knows? Maybe I wasn't even up on the screen yet. Looks like Yeah, it looks like there was a bunch of blank screen at the beginning anyway. Which that's typical. You thought I already did Keldor, or there's another version, says Bobby Wald. Oh, there's always another version, isn't there? But yeah, here we go with another version of Keldor. Make sure I'm caught up there. All right, so yeah, yesterday I had opened up this version of Keldor, which was or not yesterday, last episode. I opened up this version of Keldor, which was from the animated Masters of the Universe Revolution cartoon series. And I'd mentioned before, I didn't think to bring him over here with me, that this is like a little different from your traditional appearance of Keldor, at least what we'd have up until that point, which here we go. There's the Origins version of Keldor. And like I said, he basically looks like Skeletor if Skeletor had a face. So looks a little Ming the Merciless, which I always like Ming the Merciless. So that's fine with me. But then we got another version of Keldor here, which is the new Eternia version. And the other one was King Keldor. This one's just Keldor. Bobby Wald says, the other day my daughter was playing with Faker, and I heard her say, He-Man, why so blue? Yeah, that's the sort of thing you do when you're a kid. I remember Mark Taylor said that he thought that before Skeletor got his skull face, he would have looked somewhat like He-Man, because in his version of the story, I believe that He-Man and Skeletor were brothers, if I remember correctly. But we'll call him Keldor, even though that wasn't his name in that version. I don't remember if he had a name in that version. But Keldor was basically thrown into the Dwell of Souls. That's the dungeon thing. That's the sticker in Castle Grayskull. That's what that's supposed to be, and that's where basically where everybody goes that tries to learn the secrets of Castle Grayskull and fails. They're basically banished into this pit, this bottomless pit, for all eternity. And Skeletor managed to crawl out, but when he did, he had been transformed. He was no longer the man he was before. He was Skeletor. So that's his version of the origin of Skeletor. Anyway, this version, I don't know how he becomes Skeletor, but we're going to get into all that. First, let's talk about some of this packaging. So we've got the image of Keldor there, and we see he's got a green hood, which is unusual. Green isn't usually like a Skeletor color. I can't think of that many Skeletor figures or variations or designs where he wears like predominantly green. Now, sometimes you might have like this one has a green accent because he has green on his bat symbol, or sometimes they might have green on the boots, or green gem or something like that. And obviously the original Skeletor figure had the green shading on the face, but he doesn't normally wear like a green costume. But this one has a green hood and a green cape and some green gems on the armor. And there we can see a nice portrait of Skeletor, of Keldor, with his face melting off because he's about to become Skeletor. And there's the face from Snake Mountain in the background. And over here we have the first new Eternia version of Beastman, not the latest one, but the first one, the one that's supposed to look like the bear version of Beastman, like he's wearing that one, like he killed that creature and is wearing his pelt and armor. And then Evelyn, which is a version of Evelyn I have not seen before. And if we compare her with the actual Evelyn figure, you'll see there are a lot of similarities in the costume. So maybe this was supposed to be like an alternate head that was supposed to come with her at some point. Or maybe it's supposed to be a version they were hoping to do at some point down the road. The only difference I can see is the breech cloth, at least in terms of the sculpt. The coloring is a little different because she's wearing purple instead of dark blue. But other than that, it's fairly similar to this same outfit. But she did not come with a helmetless head, and she's got this kind of diadem that I haven't ever really seen before. And then we got some close-ups on the back. There's Keldor without his hood. There's the disfigured Keldor head. And here it demonstrates how you can put his sword into a little sheath on his belt. And the bio reads, Keldor, evil apprentice of Hordak. And it says, behind his master Hordak's back, Keldor summons the power of the greatest force in the universe, destroying both himself and the mighty fortress Castle Grayskull. So this is one of those Masterverse, one of those new Eternia universes where Castle Grayskull has been destroyed. They all seem to have kind of like their own sort of unique backstory to these various, like New Eternia isn't, I don't think it's supposed to be any one. I think it's specifically a multiverse of different universes that we see for these characters. So let's go ahead and open them up. And he's got a red background, like a bad guy. And then we got the little little paper envelope with the accessories in it. So let's go ahead and open that up and get some of these accessories out of here. So yeah, this version of Keldor has actually destroyed Castle Grayskull. So I guess he's the one that becomes Barbarian Skeletor and Viking He-Man is his arch enemy. I'm guessing that's how that works. These are all three of those figures are connected. And then we have the disfigured Skeletor head. And it's not quite a skull. It's more like a rotted zombie looking head, all scarred by the acid that he tried to throw at King Randor, but got deflected back into his face. So I kind of have this idea that when Keldor attacked Randor, it's the same spell basically that he used on Courtney Cox in the live action movie. So it just kind of slowly eats away at your whole body. And a little bit of it got on Randor's leg, so they had to replace his leg. That's why he's got that prosthetic leg in 2000X. But he managed to deflect both of it back onto Skeletor's face. So it's that thing that was on Courtney Cox's leg, and it's devouring his face. So how nasty is that? That's my version of it. That's my version of it. That's not in any official canon. That's as I interpret the story. And then we have my least favorite thing about Mattel figures, even worse than rubber tabs, is they got the fabric cape taped into the package. Oh, I hate that so much. Because you risk damaging it every time you pull one of these off. And I managed to get it off okay. But yes, it does still have some residue stuck on the cape. It's always going to have that residue stuck on the cape forever. There's no way I know to get it off anyway. So let's see. I've got all this stuff piled all over here. I really need to just clean off my desk. So I'm not sure where my snips are at this moment because I've just got so much stuff here. There, I found them. So let's go ahead and get his single, other than the separate head, the single accessory out of here, which is a sword. And it looks kind of vaguely like the Sword of Power, but it's not. And then I'll go ahead and get all the other rubber tabs off of this guy. Because him being a Mattel figure, he's just going to be covered in rubber tabs. All right. So there's one about each elbow here. Get those. And there's one about each ankle, shin, that area, and get those off. And does not seem to be one about his waist, which is good. All right. So I think that's all of them. Let's go ahead and pull that out, as our Canadian friends would say. Pull that out. Canadian accents. What's that about? Yeah, I grew up in the 80s, so I watched a lot of You Can't Do That on television. I'm very familiar with the Canadian accent. All right. So there is Keldor out of the package, and we can see that it's a completely different design of Keldor from what we got before with the King Keldor, and it's a completely different design of what we got from the typical version of Keldor. So this design was made for the 2000X cartoon series. Keldor never actually appeared in any media before that that I know of. He was mentioned in one of the mini comics. Bobby Wald asks, "Isn't that where Alanis Morissette started out? Was on that show?" Yes, indeed. That was at the very beginning of her career. So that also would have been where I first saw Alanis Morissette, and I don't think I connected the dots at first when she had her first big hit song here in the United States. She was, I think, always like a popular singer up in Canada, like she was like a teen pop princess kind of thing. And then like when she went all grungy in the 90s, that like I remember seeing her on MTV and thinking to myself, I only remember one other person named Alanis, and that was that girl from You Can't Do That on Television. Her name was Alanis. That's an unusual name. I wonder if no, it was her. That was her. And like I've mentioned before, how I'm a big fan of How I Met Your Mother. That's one of my favorite shows, and they have a lot of for anybody who hasn't seen that show, I'm not gonna say too much about it, but they have a lot of Alanis Morissette references on that show. One of the characters on the show has a kind of a similar background. So the hood comes off very easily, and that's what he looks like underneath the hood. Bobby Wald says, with Canada's kindness, who isn't a pop star there? Well, I'm not, because I can't carry a tune in a bucket. They'd be telling this Yankee to go home. But you can see he's got that same sort of hairstyle that Keldor had in the 2000X design, where it's not quite a mullet. It's like long hair that he's got kind of slicked back. Maybe he's supposed to look a little bit like Vlad Tepes or something. I don't know. But I do like some aspects of this design that they've come up with. I think there's some interesting ideas that they have on here. First of all, you see that he's got a white long sleeve shirt underneath this. And think about it. Who's another character that is a prince that has a long white sleeve shirt in Masters Universe? Yes, I'm talking about Prince Adam. So I think they were kind of trying to intentionally give him a little bit of a Prince Adam kind of look here. And he does still have some elements of Skeletor. You can see the breastplate is kind of similar. The main difference being like the gold on the breastplate, but also he's got kind of like shoulder plates instead of like the kind of leather straps that he has on the older ones. And it doesn't have any of the bone sort of detailing to it, not that I can see anyway. And it does have kind of a vague bat shape on there, but again, it's kind of like vaguely bat shaped. And of course, the gladiator kilt is very reminiscent of Skeletor. Now that one does have like kind of this gem at the belt buckle, and it's got these these four little what are these anyway? They're like little, almost like little buckles or something. These four little round buckles, and those do kind of seem to suggest the crossbones that were on the breastplate of the Skeletor armor. And then he's got black tights, and he's got kind of very dark purple pirate boots. And then he's got bracers that are kind of similar to He-Man's. And they probably could have just recycled He-Man's bracers, honestly, and nobody would have noticed or cared or minded. But these look like a unique bracer design where you can see they come down to a point right here in what I presume to be the front of it. And then he's got this, like I pointed out on the package, this little loop. See that there? Where like the sword can go in there. And that's where he stores the sword when he's not using it. And then he's got that green hood. And the hood does come down kind of far in the back, and it does, I think, do a good job of covering all of his hair. So I kind of feel like this is going to be like in my mind, this is what Keldor looked like before he joined up with Hordak. And that's not, I don't think, the intention of the figure, at least if we read the bio. I think it's supposed to be after he's left Hordak even. But I kind of feel like this is the outfit that Keldor would wear when he's in his father's court. And this is Prince Keldor, the noble, halfling Gar, son of the king. And he's kind of in my mind, kind of a controversial figure among the people of Eternia, because some people maybe have like kind of a sort of racist view of him, or like you can't trust a Gar. I don't know why he would even marry a Gar woman in the first place. And of course, it would have been like, kind of a peace gesture between their people, is like he marries a Gar princess, but and she becomes his first queen, but she dies rather tragically, I think. Maybe has like an illness or something. I don't know what. And then he winds up remarrying, and that's Randor's mother. So, but he would have been the true heir to the throne of Eternos. And not only that, as I always like to point out, King Grayskull is supposed to be the descendant of He-Man, right? And if he's the descendant of He-Man, it must have only come through Randor, because Marlena's from another planet. So it's got to be from his dad's side that he's descended from He-Man. So yeah, he is a descendant of King Grayskull as well, right? So anytime that Skeletor says that it's his right to rule Grayskull, it's his right, it's his destiny. He truly is the true heir to Castle Grayskull, because he's the older brother of King Randor. So he actually is in fact. You might not like this. He's the actual true heir to Castle Grayskull. It's by right of blood succession. That's him, and of course on the 2000X when they kind of changed things up a bit. So Randor was actually made king. He wasn't actually like descendant of kings, and it's 2000X, whatever. That wasn't how it was in the original version, where like he was the son of King Miro. So and Keldor was introduced during the concept of Keldor, even though he didn't actually appear. He was just talked about in the mini comic. He actually did appear in the old He-Man stuff. The vintage mini comics did mention Keldor. So yeah, he is the true heir to Castle. He's got those yellow eyes. So help me God, yellow eyes. And I don't think I mentioned that with this guy either, is he has the yellow eyes too. So that's kind of become a thing with Keldor. Now this guy doesn't have yellow eyes because they wanted him to look like a vintage He-Man figure. So he's got those black eyes like a vintage He-Man would. So but yeah, this would be, him as the prince, and then when he becomes the apprentice of Hordak, then he's wearing this outfit. Then that's when he switches to his Skeletor outfit. and that would be the outfit that he's wearing when he fights Randor, and they have their falling out, as it were. And that's what he wears when he becomes Skeletor. So that's what Skeletor usually wears when he's Skeletor. So yeah. Anyway, let's talk a little about this sword. And I'm pretty sure that this sword is inspired by the design of the 2000X sword. You can see that it's got the hand-guard that's kind of similar to the Sword of Power, the Sword of Grayskull, much like that 2000X sword had, but it's actually like a ram's skull. So it does kind of suggest the Havoc staff a little bit. Again, this is very much inspired by that 2000X sword, but it doesn't split into two like that one. It's just one solid sword, and you can see the sword blade is much more narrow. This is not a broadsword. This is more like a fencing sword. So, which to me again kind of fits with the nature of how I see this figure, where I'm interpreting him as being like this is him in his father's court. This is what Keldor normally looked like, how he normally dressed before he became a bad guy. So this is in my backstory, as I imagine it, Keldor would have been a very imaginative child as a young boy, and would have spent a lot of time in the castle library reading the old books, and he would have become fascinated with these tales of the long lost Sword of Power, and how it's been split into two halves, and that one day this great hero will come and unite the two halves of the Power Sword. And once the Power Sword is united, then the greatest hero in all of Eternia will rise and become the ultimate defender of Castle Grayskull. And he's going to be a prince, the son of the king, and a woman from outside of the normal society of Eternia. And he's reading all this and thinking, oh my God, they're talking about me. That's me. It's not him. It's not him. They're not talking about a Gar woman. They're talking about an Earth woman. That's the mother of the ultimate hero of all time. Because the ultimate hero of all time, it's this guy. It's Prince Adam. It's this guy who becomes the ultimate He-Man, the last He-Man, the final He-Man, the guy who's intended to become the ultimate guardian of the entire universe. That's your nephew, dude. Sorry to tell you. But he becomes kind of obsessed with this prophecy. It's almost kind of like Rhaegar Targaryen and that whole prince that was promised thing, where he wasn't really the prince that was promised, but he became kind of obsessed with it and thought that he was. and it becomes a sort of thing where he goes from being like, I need to get the Sword of Power, the two halves of it, so I can unite it and learn the secrets of Castle Grayskull. And then, once I learn the secrets of Castle Grayskull, I can use them to, protect people and, keep the universe safe and fight against evil. And that's his true intention when he's starting out. But as he goes on, and he's so obsessed with finding this sword and getting into the castle and everything, is that slowly, ever so slowly, it starts to become less about being a hero and protecting other people and fighting against evil, and more about the idea of power for power's sake. Like slowly that just starts to take root in his mind, and it rots it from like the inside out. And Keldor goes from being a genuinely good person who has the most noble of intentions for finding this power and becoming this great hero, this great champion that he knows he's destined to be, and more sort of like, I need to have this power. And to the point where he finally makes his alliance with Hordak. And he's learning from Hordak, and he's learning all these things. And he manages to actually find one half of this sword of power, this mystical power sword. He manages to find it, and he thinks to himself, if I can just learn a little bit more from Hordak, I can find the other half, and then I can kill Hordak. I can overthrow him, and Hordak is evil. Obviously, I don't want to work for this guy forever, but sure, I'm having to do horrible things right now, but it's going to be worth it in the long run. The ends are going to justify the means, and then when I kill Hordak, he'll be punished for all his wrongdoings, and then I'll have the whole sword and all the secrets of Castle Grayskull, and I will rule the entire universe as prophecy has intended, and Evil Lyn will be at my side, and we'll rule the universe together, and it'll be wonderful. But he's become corrupt, and Randor would try to bring him back to the good side. Prince Randor, would try to be like, look, this isn't you. You never were a horrible person like this. Come back to the good side. Like, it's not too late for you. But of course it is too late for him, and he's willing to kill his own brother to keep him from interfering in his plans at that point. And that's when Keldor has finally crossed that moral Rubicon, and he can't ever really come back. And they have their battle, and both of them are just scarred for life after this. So yes, that's in my mind the story of Keldor, and how he manages to become Skeletor in the first place. Let's talk about his articulation. So Keldor can't look up very far because he's got this long hair. He can look down about that far, tilt his head kind of quizzically from side to side, not as much as I would like, but a little bit. The head should technically rotate all the way around, but again, he's got this long hair, and he's got this armor, so it kind of bumps into that. So you can't really turn the head all the way around, but I mean, it turns around enough. I mean, that's about as far as like a person's head could turn around in real life. So I say that's good enough. Now the arms rotate all around the shoulders. Again, they're always going to bump into these armor pieces, and these actually are removable, by the way. I just noticed this. They have these two little peg holes here, two little pegs there. And that way we can take off the cape. So we might as well just take off the cape and set that aside. And look at this. There's like a little starburst pattern on the back there. Remember how I was talking about how he looked kind of like Ming the Merciless? Well, that's a motif we see in Ming's costumes a lot, isn't it? So yeah, the arms rotate all around the shoulders, and they raise up to the sides about that far. And then he's got a bicep sole, so the bicep rotates all the way around. Keldor has double jointed elbows. That's about the range of motion you get at the elbows. I'm going to put that arm back down if I can. Then Keldor's wrists rotate all the way around, and these bracers, they can move all the way around as well, so you can pose those pretty much however you want. And Keldor actually does have a held aloft right hand, so that's nice. We can get some good posing out of the sword with that. I like that. And the left arm has a horizontal hinge, so you get a vertical hinge on the right arm and a horizontal hinge on the left. And then Keldor has that cool typical Masterverse kind of posability to the torso, so you can get a lot of good poses out of that. It does seem like this breastplate is removable. There's little tabs here on the side, so if we pull this head off and we get little tabs open, then we can pull off the breastplate over that. And if you wanted to, I suppose you can make him like a soft goods vest and make him look a little bit more like Prince Adam in terms of his mode of dress, if you wanted to do that. And then Keldor rotates all the way around to the waist. Well, it's going to kind of bump into the sword if you got that in there. Let's go and take that out for now. And then Keldor can kick up about that far, which is really good considering that gladiator kilt that he's got on there. He can do the splits, no problem. So there's that. And it does have like a fur loincloth around the sides and the back. And it looks like it's just black, like how Skeletor's furry shorts are usually black. And then he's got a thigh cut, so the thigh rotates all around. This does have those drop-down hips, by the way. Keldor has double-jointed knees. That's about the range of motion you get at the knees. and then the boot cut, so the boot rotates all the way around, and the foot points down about that far, foot points up about that far, and the foot rotates all the way around. So now let's get this guy put back together. Well, we're gonna get it mostly put back together because we're gonna put this disfigured skull face on him. So we're going to put the breastplate back on. And then it seems to me like this cape might be kind of tricky in terms of like how this attaches on here. So I think the best way to do it, it wouldn't be so tricky if it didn't have like 2 holes and 2 pegs to get it back on. So that just means more stuff I'm going to have to keep track of when I'm putting this back together. So, and the pegs themselves are kind of slanted. I'll show you in a second. And then we just get it pegged back in there. And hopefully I still have it. Yep, we got it. We got it on there. So yeah, the pegs themselves are kind of a little bit slanted. You see that? Almost kind of like they're pointy. So I got the cape back on there correctly, but I put it on there on the wrong side. Guess I should have paid more attention to that, huh? So let's try this again. And I think I'm putting it on there just backwards now because, well, I'd kind of rather it curled the other way. So I'm gonna put it back on there this way. So yeah, I think the easiest way to do that is going to be to put the pegs through the holes in the cape, and then just kind of try to hold that on there as best you can while you put the pegs through the holes in the shoulders there, the shoulders. You can get those in there. And there we go. I got it in there right this time. Hopefully, like, really right. And I guess you could kind of try to line it up with that, but that seems like that would be kind of trickier. But I don't know. Let's see if... I think I put the wrong... I put the wrong shoulder piece on there. Okay, well, whatever. Maybe that might be easier. Let's try it this way. Okay. So, because I didn't notice they're not symmetrical. They're a little longer in what I believe to be the front. Maybe they should have given it like different peg holes, and then you wouldn't be able to do that by accident. I don't know. Like different sizes of peg holes is what I'm trying to say. Now, see, it's doing the thing where, like, I'm poking the cape in there. Ugh. And it's all fabric, so it's all soft and flexible. And I'm not even sure if I'm going to wind up leaving this cape on mine or if I'm going to make him a cape that's a different color. Because like I said, I kind of feel like the green is not really a very Skeletor kind of color. And that means it's not really like a very Keldor kind of color in my eyes either. You know what? It went on easier the other way. So I'm thinking maybe I had it right in the first place. Let's see. Maybe it is 2 different peg holes. So let's try to, that seems like it goes in there just fine that way. And try the other one over here. I don't even know if I'd be able to tell the difference looking at the box, which way it goes. Because it looks kind of symmetrical at first glance. Well, whatever. This is the way it's going to go on there now. Isn't this a fun episode? All right. So I'm going to go ahead and put the cape through the holes on the shoulder piece. I don't know why they didn't just do this with one hole. I think one hole one peg and one hole would have been sufficient. So I'm not sure why they decided. No, we'll make it a little more complicated. When has anything not been improved by making it more complicated? That's just. It doesn't want to seem to go on. There, okay. So it seems like it goes on a little easier if you try to put the back peg on before the front peg. That's what it seems like to me, anyway. I could be mistaken. And now I'm putting the shoulder piece on there entirely backwards. What am I doing? Really, honestly, what am I doing here? All right. So we spent a lot more time doing this than I would have liked. So just bear in mind it's a little more complex than it needs to be. All right. So I hadn't really talked about this sword like I really wanted to, and what my idea is as to what this sword actually is. And in my mind, this is a sword that Evelyn had made for Keldor because she knew about his obsession with finding the power sword, and she had every faith in him that eventually you're going to find this thing and you're going to rule all of the universe. Like, I know, I believe in you. I support you. I know that's going to happen. But in the meantime, I got you this for just so you'd have a sword, and I had it made to look like the old power sword, which one day you will have. I have no doubt. And he was touched by this gift because they were truly in love at that point. But after he was disfigured and dying, and Hordak had his soul bound with a demon, that was when their love died. Very tragic. Bobby Wald says, I have a hard time not seeing Skeletor and thinking of that one supervillain seminar in Robot Chicken where Skeletor shows up and he's talking about writing his dream journal. And Keldor does seem like the kind of guy he probably would have written in a dream journal. And like, one day I will solve the secret. I will learn the secrets of Castle Grayskull. So it's interesting how they painted this, where you see the bone underneath is yellow, and it does have like green all over it. So it does kind of make it a little reminiscent of the original Skeletor figure and how he had that yellow and green skull. But you can see he still has a little bit of skin left, at least, even though it's pretty much destroyed at this point. But that's the scarred by acid head that they have for him. And you can fit the hood on that too. So you can almost make him a more traditional type of Skeletor if you like. So maybe if we went with that Mark Taylor origin of Skeletor, and we imagine him, looking somewhat like this when he gets thrown into that pit and he crawls out and he's been transformed and most of his face is missing. Maybe this is what he looks like when he first crawls out of that pit, and then just slowly the rest of the flesh falls off of his face, and he becomes the Skeletor that we know and love today. Maybe that's how that works. I don't know. Also, I should point out that, and this is one of the more annoying things about Masterverse, I don't know if that's coming across in the camera at all, but he does have a slightly different skin color from the Revolution Keldor. So part swapping isn't really going to be as much of an option there as you might like. And it just seems to me like in Masterverse, every version of Skeletor / Keldor has a different skin color. So you can't just swap the parts around. And that's kind of annoying. He-Man, for the most part, seems fairly consistent with skin color between not just the Masterverse line, but the Origins line as well. There's some slight variations of it. But for the most part, like, you could take, like this Viking He-Man head that I put onto the new Eternia Battle Armor He-Man, and it fits on there just fine. And I've taken it and I've put it onto Origins He-Man figures, and it blends in just fine. So you can do that sort of thing. You can take a Filmation He-Man head or the regular Origins He-Man head, and you can put them onto Masterverse figures and Visca Verska, vice versa, however you want to mispronounce that word. And it tends to work out just fine. But for whatever reason, Skeletor is not as easy to just swap the parts around with. Now, granted, if you want to put like an Origin Skeletor onto a Masterverse figure, you're probably not even going to have to worry about matching skin colors, because he doesn't really have skin on his head, for one thing, and he's got a hood, even if he did. So, like, it's going to be fairly easy to mix and match just the heads. But I don't think I'd be able to put this one onto like this head onto like a regular Skeletor figure, because I don't think there is a regular Skeletor figure in this line that has the same exact shade of blue. I would still have to repaint the entire body. Like, I want to say that the Revelation Skeletor, his blue is just kind of slightly more on like the purplish side, and the new Eternia one is slightly just more on the greenish side. Like, they're all over the place as far as like the skin colors. The vintage figure is like very pale. I've got him over here, but I kind of have to dig him out. Like, yeah, like you can see like his skin color is much more pale. So I don't think that would work. So, it just kind of is what it is. So if you want to do like a 2000X style design for your Keldor figure, what you're going to have to do, unfortunately, is that you're going to have to repaint an entire figure. That's about the only way you can do that. Or repaint the head. Maybe that would be easier. But, the head is very nicely painted with the details and everything. It'd be a shame to lose those details. Oh, well, whatever. I really like this design of Keldor, though. So I'm glad to have him. And it kind of makes sense to me to have all these different outfits for this guy, because he's a guy who would go through a lot of different iterations as far as, what he looks like and what outfits he's wearing for what intended purpose. And I can think about how each one, obviously, like the Revolution version, and I know I had him here. Here we go. The Revolution version where he becomes king, obviously that one's got to look way different from Skeletor. He can't be dressed like Skeletor when he shows up to claim the throne. And he wouldn't look like Skeletor yet in my idea of what this figure is. He wouldn't have that outfit yet, but you can see how he's starting to get kind of Skeletor-esque. He's almost like a Skeletor light at this point. And then when he would finally be working with Hordak, then he'd be wearing this outfit finally, but with the still with the normal looking head. He doesn't have a skull head yet, but then Hordak binds him with a demon, and then he's got a skull head, and that's when he's finally fully truly Skeletor. Anyway, that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I always enjoy talking about one of my favorite villains of all time, Skeletor. Definitely one of my favorite villain characters. Maybe my most favorite villain character. I don't know. There's a lot of really great villains out there. I think maybe my most favorite villain character is Count Dracula. I really like Count Dracula. So, Bobby Wald says the other day Amazon had a sale on the Motu figures, and I got Skeletor in his throne. Awesome. I really like that figure. Well, maybe that one would match. I'll have to try to see if I can check with that one later. Maybe that one I would be able to get to maybe this Keldor head would work on that one. I hadn't thought about that one, but I don't even remember if that one's the same skin color. But yeah, Skeletor is definitely one of my favorite villains of all time. And next episode, we're gonna talk about another one of my favorite villains of all time, because we're finally gonna jump back into the world of G.I. Joe just for one episode, because I have something special that I want to open up for you guys. And that's this guy. This is going to be the next episode, which you're thinking, that's not a G.I. Joe figure. That thing says Soldiers of Fortune on there. what is this, some kind of G.I. Joe knockoff? Well, kinda, a little bit. So yeah, next episode, even though this is not officially an action figure of Cobra Commander, we're going to talk about the agent, the enemy, and codename the enemy right there, Cobra Commander himself. So we're going to talk a little bit about Cobra Commander and the origins of that character. And I guarantee you, if you enjoy sitting with me on my couch and talking with me about action figures, you're not going to want to miss this episode, because I do love Cobra Commander, and we're going to have a lot of interesting things to say about this figure. So, I got this guy off of Big Bad Toy Store. Unfortunately, it's sold out now. I would like to try to get a second one at some point, but last I checked, they didn't have any more. Maybe they'll get more back in stock at some point. But yeah, I haven't opened any of these. I think Fresh Monkey Fiction makes these, and they're Big Bad Toy Store exclusives. So you can see here it says Big Bad Big Bad Studio. I can't quite make that out. The logo's too dark. I'd probably be able to see it better if the lighting was better in here. But yeah, we're gonna have a fun time talking about this tomorrow. I actually went and bought. I went by Ross yesterday, and they just happened to have a vintage collection Cobra Commander figure for cheap. So I went ahead and bought another one of those retro card Cobra Commander figures, just so that this head could have a permanent home. Well, at least as permanent as it can, because I'm probably going to want to put it on the suit body occasionally. But yeah, next episode, we're going to talk about Cobra Commander. So you want to make sure you don't miss that one. Make sure you like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. I got a lot of cool stuff coming up. I just got this guy in the mail yesterday. I got Vigilante. I'd only ordered 3 of these figures. I didn't manage to get Captain Marvel Jr. Yet. Hopefully I'll be able to get him at some point. But I ordered 3 of these from Entertainment Earth because it was what I could afford to order at the time. And I got Vig, and I got Supergirl, and I got Black Canary. And you know I've been wanting a Black Canary figure in DC Multiverse for a long time. So, and they mailed all 3 of them to me separately. And in fact, they haven't shipped me Supergirl yet. That one says it's on back order or something. But I don't know how I got a back order of a pre-order, but somehow I managed. But yeah, Black Canary's on the way and should be here in a couple of days. Bobby Wald says, I don't have any of the Soldier of Fortunes, but I did order the Crimson Moonwave, which is supposed to be coming pretty soon. Yes, and they have a red version of the Cobra Commander hood for that one. And you know what? I don't feel bad at all. I'll talk more about this in that episode. I don't feel bad at all buying a knockoff Cobra Commander from a completely different company, since Hasbro doesn't want to give me a hooded Cobra Commander. You know what? I'm going to go where the action is. And if you guys wanted to keep me from buying some knockoff Cobra Commander figure, you should have made me a hooded Cobra Commander figure like we've been asking you for years. And Bobby Wald knows what I'm talking about, because he's got Cobra Commander right there on his icon. So obviously Bobby Wald is a man of refined tastes and culture. So and I know he's not going to want to miss the next episode when I'm talking about Cobra Commander. Anyway, I want to go ahead and open up the retro figure beforehand. And I'm not going to do a video of that, because I already did a video on unboxing that retro figure. So, but I'm going to go ahead, and once I'm done with this video and I shoot the thumbnail for it, then I'm probably just going to go ahead and open that one up. So I've got him ready for the next episode, which hopefully will be tomorrow. I'm planning on it being tomorrow. We'll see. You want to hear God laugh? Tell him your plans, right? So, but yeah, he looks like a really cool figure, and I think he's going to be a good figure, like regardless. Like even if it didn't come with a Cobra Commander head, I think I probably still would have wanted to have this figure. And I've got to get the spy and the tuxedo. I got to get a few of those. Try to get a few of those anyway, so I can do some James Bond figures. Anyway, that's it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. We will talk to you next time. Bye.